Good evening, friends. Welcome back to the lecture number 3 on what is economics. Now, why we are going so elaborate and deep into understanding economics is because the subject managerial economics is largely dependent on the understanding that you have about economics. Once you understand the basics of this subject, it will be very easy for you to understand later on about what is managerial economics and what is macroeconomics. So don't get panicked by the words that you are hearing. You might be hearing for the first time. These are nothing new. These are the words you are having anxiety, you are having fear of economics is only because you are not aware of the words. So the best way to overcome the fear of the subject is, I'll tell you one thing. You note down the words that you come across the subject, within the subject, make a list according to alphabets, try to find out the meanings from different sources and write it down. Right? This is generally the most easiest way of overcoming the fear of the subject. We are afraid because we might be hearing the words first time. We might not have heard entirely in our lives. So the best way to do that is make a list of the words that you are facing, encountering during the course of the lecture or during the syllabus, within the reference notes, within textbooks. Make a list according to alphabetical order, write meaning of that and keep on reading whenever you have spare time. So that is one clue and hint and one tip that I gave it to you to overcome the fear of the subjects. So let us come back to what is economics. What does it say? It's a scientific study of choices. It's not a random study, right? Everything that you do over here with respect to economics has some sort of science backing it. Now, what is science? What is scientific methods that we'll be studying slowly later on? First, let us try to understand what is economics. It's a scientific study of choices made by individuals, right? Now, why we are making choices? Because we have a lot of alternatives and a lot of alternative uses of a particular goods or services. A scientific study of choices made by individuals or societies with regard to the alternative uses of scarce resources employed to satisfy wants. What does it mean? Water is a scarce commodity, right? Or for example, you can take silver is a scarce commodity, or lithium ion or lithium metal is a very scarce commodity. So what are you trying to do? You are trying to take a choice from the alternative uses of lithium and coming at a decision to use lithium in manufacture of batteries for vehicles to be run on electric mode. So what is this? You're not doing anything at random. You're making a scientific study. What is the scientific study you're making here in the case of lithium-ion batteries? You take into account how many are the reserves, how to mine them cost effectively, how to transform that lithium into lithium-ion batteries, how to make effective use of that. All this is done using scientific methods, scientific technology and scientific ways to determine, to enhance its usage, right? So that whatever reserves we have of lithium, we are going to try to optimize the uses or optimize the lithium stocks that are there so that we can satisfy our wants. Now, what is the want right now? I want a car which runs on batteries, but which is again cost effective. This is my want. So what are we trying to do? Scarce resources, lithium, choices From all amongst the metals that we make, we are making a choice to use only lithium. Why? To satisfy wants. Right? This is economics. So whatever you do in between, using the lithium ion to run the vehicles on electric mode, whatever you are doing, that is what we call it as economics. It's a very simple example that I gave it to you to understand this line. What's the second one? Deals with society as a whole. Economics does not deal in segments. It deals with society as a whole and human behavior in particular. How does a human behave in a given situation, and according to his or her behavior, how that behavior is going to affect the economy or the society as such. So economics also studies society in a larger perspective, and human behavior in a very focused perspective, right? So it's a combination of dealing with this much and dealing within that circle. You're dealing with a certain element which is crucial. Human behavior in particular in economics is very crucial. Why? Because if humans don't behave in the desired way of the companies towards the product, that company might suffer financial losses. And company does not suffer financial losses in isolation. Whosoever has invested, maybe the banks, maybe financial institutions, maybe people, public, whosoever invested, they are going to lose money. And if they lose money, what happens? If banks or financial institutions lose money, they will not be in a position to lend money to whom? To the people who need them. And on the part of people who have invested, they might lose money and they may not be able to spend more. So this is what we call it as a ripple effect. So to understand the ripple effect, economy, what is it does? It deals with society as a whole. It does not say, no, we are not going to talk about people, we are not going to talk about land, labor, capital. No, it includes everything. How much is capital is available, how much land is there, how much labor is going to be employed, right? So everything it tries to take into account. Why? Because it wants to understand humans' behavior very particularly. Now, why human behavior is essential, I discussed just now. People act in different ways towards a certain product or a service. Everything that is taken into account. Say for example, some people might like a red shirt, some people may not like a red shirt. Some people may or may not like a white shirt. So everything is taken into consideration, and according to people's choices that they are making, production, distribution and consumption takes place. And production, consumption, distribution is an integral part of economics. That is what we had studied earlier. It's a science in its methodology. Everything we do, every choice we make, right, or every decision we take is having certain methodology. So whenever a certain thing has some methods, right, it is what we call it as science. In an experiment, you don't do experiment at random. You follow certain methods. This is the method to do that. This is a procedure to do that. You follow a certain stated process. That is what we call it as methodology. Stated process. Whenever you are doing something according to stated process, it's what? It's scientific, backed by verifiable research, verifiable data, right? So methodology is what? It's a process which can be verified by data. Hence, and anything that can be verified by data is what we call it as science. And art and its applications, right? So whatever data we receive, we don't apply to everyone. Okay? So whenever we do an advertisement with respect to a product which falls in the want category, we don't advertise that product to each and everyone. We have a targeted audience. We take into consideration people's aspirations, right? A college going guy might have a different aspiration toward a certain brand of phone. That same phone might have different aspirational levels to people who are working in private sector. That same phone might have different aspirational values by those people who are working in government sector. Product is same. So what you try to do, if the product is same, you want to target a certain audience, you have to be very skillful in your advertisement. So whenever skills comes into play, it's what we call it as art in applications. So economics, whenever you try to apply, it assumes an art form. Whenever you try to follow certain methods, when economics follows certain methods, it's scientific in nature. There are two assumptions of economics. This perspective of economics has two underlying assumptions. Ceteris paribus, which means all other things being equal. You make a choice and you take into consideration that people make choices because they have income, because they can afford to pay the price, because they like the product, they love the service. What are these? For every product, it is assumed that these things, they are equal. And hence people demand that particular product. This is what we mean to say by ceteris paribus, all other things being equal. बाकी सब ठीक है, लेकिन ये एक जो चीज करते हैं उसका कारण ये है, that is what we mean to say by ceteris paribus. And also people it is assumed that people follow the concept of rationality. There are two people who follow one who are consuming the product. What they try to do? They try to rationalize the decisions based on maximization of utility. I am buying this scale. I bought this scale because it has a different utilities apart from measuring certain things, apart from drawing certain things. This can be used for alternative usages also. So whenever I am buying a product, apart from its stated objective, what I am trying to do, I am trying to maximize utility. And hence I take a decision to buy the scale. I am not buying car only to drive. I am buying the car to transport some goods. I am buying car to do something else. I am buying car to participate in the race. So whatever these things, these are alternative uses of I have only one car and I am trying to maximize its utility by going in for alternative uses. Producers, how do they rationalize their decisions? Whatever activity they undertake, whatever they produce, they are producing with the intention of maximizing the profits and minimizing the costs. They are not going to undertake any endeavor, they are not going to undertake any project, they are not going to follow any process unless that gives them maximum profits and with minimum of costs. So what are we trying to do? The producers are justifying their decisions based on the concept of rationality. People are buying certain things based on the concept that all other things are being equal. That means all other things being equal means there are equal number of buyers, there are equal number of sellers, there are equal number of products, everyone has equal income, all the products have similar prices. So in that situation, how will people react or how will people going to make choices? That is the assumption that is made in economics. That's all for now. Remember to write down the difficult words, make a list of them, write its meaning. If you have any queries, please don't be afraid. You can send your queries on my WhatsApp number. This is the WhatsApp number that I have personally. You can send it or you can email me at WRITE2 Ramkalani RAMKALANI @gmail.com. Any queries, anything, you can drop your comments in the Dropbox on my YouTube channel so that I can come to know if you have any difficulties. Please give the feedback. If with respect to content, with respect to the speed of the subject, with respect to vocabulary, with respect to language, whatever doubts you have, whatever lesser understandings you have, please don't forget to give your feedback in the comment box. That's all for now. Thank you. Take care.